Hi, my name is Laura, and I'm going to be doing the final speech for this round, which is the propositions closing statement. So first I'm going to give an off-time roadmap, which is framework, then defense, and lastly, voting issues and impacts. So without further ado, 2 minutes on the clock, my time shall begin. Now, the position abided about the framework, which means that because of economic and moral impacts, the proposition is proudly winning this round. Since the opposing team introduced new arguments talking about the pregnant, poor, handicapped, and the Biden plan, which were never really explained with quantifiable evidence, thus the proposition will not even acknowledge them. The entire system of the US is based on a progressive tax scale, which means that new taxes won't be established. It's just to reallocate those already being collected into what would effectively benefit the US citizens. The opposing house mentioned that they will increase taxes, but never stated by how much. Thus, judge, you should disregard this statement. Right now, the US has the emergency care act, meaning that you'll get access to necessary help. The problem is that you have to pay for it later, meaning that this undermines what the opponent said about access versus coverage. Judge, this is why we need the UHT. People cannot afford to get their medical help, and it's the government's obligation to help its citizens. Judge, the opposing team tried to stand their irresponsibility of health argument, but failed to quantify their evidence. Thus, you should cross that out of your flow immediately. Lastly, to respond to the argument on better government planning, that falls into the ad populum fallacy, meaning that because we want it, they're going to give it to us. The government has yet to give this to us, thus undermining the opponent's point. The opposing speaker never once stated warranted or impactful evidence. The proposition can really engage with it. But since I have presented their evidence and impacts, such as 25% of the population getting delayed medical help because of cost, UHC reforms could boost wages and help the working class. 41 million Americans have inadequate access to health. 32 patients who were admitted to the hospital paid an average of $700. And UHC would help save an estimate of 68,000 lives and 450 billion money into the economy. The following arguments were untouched throughout the debate, meaning that they're still standing strong, meaning sexual assault and working class are the voting issues for the round. Sexual assault, the proposition is winning on this point because the UHC relieves the burden of paying for your medical expenses after you were assaulted. And the working class, the UHC being paid with income taxes will not determine the working class, since income taxes will just be collected from the ones that you're already paying in the status quo. Yes, you should vote for the proposition because we are the only one respecting the resolution, which is whether or not the government has an obligation for their citizens, which they do. Thus, I affirm. Thank you.